Oh, great.
Yeah, we're live streaming right now.
We can go? Oh, great.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming back. We are continuing online as our work session was interrupted. We need to get our important work done and connect with staff. So we will resume on Zoom, and we're live streaming this work session just to get the information out. Usually we don't. So I'll call the meeting to order again for Thursday, October 27th at 7:23. And the next agenda item we had was the Native American Heritage Month proclamation next on our agenda. And I hope you all received that. Director Way, do you have the reading in front of you? And would you begin reading your portion?
Yes, thank you, everybody. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my screens pulled up. So whereas National Native American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes the accomplishments of the peoples who were original inhabitants, explorers, stewards, and settlers of the United States, and
whereas for more than 500 years, Native communities across the Americas have demonstrated resilience and resistance in the face of violent efforts to separate them from their land, culture, language, and each other. They remain at the forefront of movements to protect our earth and the life it sustains. And
Is Director Schradel available online?
would you like me to read his, Chair?
I don't believe
Sure.
he's on yet.
Okay, sure. Go ahead, Director Perez. Thank you.
Whereas the North Clackamas School District is deeply committed to equity and inclusion. This stance includes the cultural affirmation of our students, staff, parents, and community members who identify as Native or Indigenous people. And
whereas the North Clackamas School District strives to close the equity and outcome gaps for Native American and Alaska Native students through policies and practices that reflect the experiences of Indigenous people, ensure greater access and opportunity, and honor Native and Indigenous roots, history, heritage, and contributions. And whereas our community is better because of the diversity of our population. And
now, therefore, it be resolved that the North Clackamas School District hereby proclaims the month of November 2022 as Native American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District and encourages all residents to honor Native American history and culture.
Let's go to, we need a motion to really approve the proclamation. Do I hear a motion?
motion to approve the proclamation.
Thank you, Director McVeigh. Do I have a second?
Second, you're on mute, Mitzi.
Thank you. So it's been, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Okay, let's call for a vote. Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
aye.
Director Schradel, is he on yet? Director Way,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga,
Aye.
and myself is an aye. So this proclamation and the motion passes by a vote of 5-0. Going on to our next agenda item, North Clackamas Ed Foundation. I believe we are going to reschedule that. Is that correct? Donna, did they, Miss Collingwood? And you're on mute, Donna.
Yeah,
Let's just, I don't see them on the screen.
yeah, no, we'll reschedule them.
Okay, thank you. And you're on mute. Okay. Then next is the human resource update. And I welcome Executive Director of Human Resources, Michelle Riddell, to report. And I believe you may have some staff. I'm not sure who was able to come back or on, and you can introduce them as needed. But thank you for still being here and being patient.
Thank you. Well, good evening. I am Michelle Riddell, the Executive Director of Human Resources, and I'm excited to be here and introduce our team to you. So tonight you will be hearing from Dr. Keela Boyer, our Associate Director of Strategic Initiatives, Recruitment and Retention, Alma Morales Galicia, who's our Associate Director for Classified Staff, and Will Ruley, who's our Associate Director for Licensed. So we're here to share the update on hiring, recruitment, and retention. So our strategic plan here at North Clackamas includes the people and culture point, which most closely aligns with our work, including recruit, hire, and retain exceptional employees with a strong sense of commitment to the school district's mission, vision, and core values, strengthening practices that lead to a workforce that reflects the diversity of the North Clackamas community, foster professional growth and leadership across all levels of the organization, and cultivate and collaborate a collaborative environment that empowers employees and provides job satisfaction.
Hello. I am, sorry, I got a bit of, hold on a second.
Is that you, Will?
Yeah, it is me. I'm trying to figure out why I'm in echoing right now. Can you hear me now without an echo?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll do a quick update on licensed staffing. So far this hiring season, we've hired 201 new licensed staff members. 138 of them were new to the district. 63 of them were temporary last year that we hired back on this year. 71 of those new hires went to elementary, 42 high school, 39 went to middle school, and 35 went to special education. 14 went to other areas around the district. In addition to that, we also did process 312 internal changes. And so that would be either staff moving between buildings, staff changing a job within a building, or staff changing their FTE. For the entire department, the total number of licensed staffed hiring processes we did this season was 513. Currently in licensed staff, we have 13 openings that we're working on trying to fill.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma, and I'll be talking a little bit about classified. And so this year, we have hired 104 brand new classified staff members. We have processed a little bit over 450 employee changes, which include FTE changes, title changes, and resignations, including approximately 250 internal transfers with that. Currently in our vacancies, the classified world is ever changing. So we are currently with 62 openings. 35 are at the elementary level and 27 at the secondary level.
All right, now back to new administrative staff. We hired 15 new administrators to North Clackamas. We promoted 20 internally, and we have 13 in new roles this year. Okay, sorry about that. Next slide.
I'm sorry.
All right, so when we look at our recruitment this year, when we look at our overall diversity of our staff from last year, we have 22 staff. Oh. All right, thank you for bearing with us. So on to recruitment. So looking at our overall staff diversity this year, we have 22% staff of color, and that's up 2% from last year. Our licensed staff represents 15%, That's up 1% from last year. Our current classified staff, we have 29% staff of color, up 3%. And in administrators, we're at 28%, up 4% from last year. And when we look, our student population continues to diversify, and we're at 45% students of color, up 3% from a year ago. As we look at the new hires that we did this year, when we look at all of our new hires, our licensed staff, we hired 28% staff of color, and that was up 5% from a year ago. And in our classified staff, we really improved our numbers, and we actually were able to hire 60% staff of color and that was a 15% increase, so quite an increase. And in our administrator, we hired 48% new administrators of color this year, and that was up 1% from last year.
I'm going to speak. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to speak to substitutes for this year. Currently, we have 329 licensed substitutes in our absence management system. However, of that 329, only 193 have taken jobs so far this year. This is a normal issue that we deal with every year because many of the subs that we have in previous years, they get jobs, and then we have to figure out who is no longer in the pool and kind of clean it up. And so that's one of the processes we're doing for both licensed subs and classified subs. Currently for classified subs, we have 162 classified subs that are in the system, but 84 of them have so far taken jobs this year. In addition to that, we have 21 classified staff who have an emergency license to take licensed sub positions when licensed staff are out of the building. That happens on a building level basis with admin approval. And that only happens when it's okay for that classified staff member to not be in that position. In addition, we have several things that we're doing to try to increase our sub pool. First, one of the things we're doing is we are hiring 8 rover subs that would be subs that would work for the entire year, that would be staffed out of the district office. We'd have 2 subs per feeder system, 1 sub working with secondary, 1 sub working with elementary at each feeder system. In addition to that, we've also allocated part of our HR FTE specifically towards sub support. This includes support for both classified and licensed subs, working on recruitment, working on training, and overall supporting with licensure and being available to answer questions for subs so that we can be an attractive district for subs based upon our ability to respond to the questions that they have. Finally, we're also working with our communications department to develop a plan to increase public awareness of sub opportunities within the district.
Okay, and as we look at our classified substitute pool of 162 substitutes, they consist of paraeducators and administrative assistant substitutes. We have the following departments that have dedicated substitutes for them. Transportation currently has 21 standby drivers, and these are regular employees that are standby drivers driving anywhere from 6 to 4 hours a day. We have 12 trip drivers whose job is just, to cover trips. For custodial, we have 5 full-time employees who are roving subs. They're mostly working throughout the district covering absences. And currently we have 3 on-call substitutes. This is a place where we typically hire substitutes and then they go on to taking regular jobs at filling our vacancies. So that's why you see this number being low, but we continue to hire there.
Okay, are you going to be
Services has 6 substitutes.
Okay,
And
so
our
you're going to be
care
working on
program
your-
currently has 9 long-term
that makes
substitutes
sense.
that are filling
I'll see
open
if we can get
vacancies.
someone's,
And we have
Someone
5
mute.
on-call substitutes.
I muted them.
sorry about the interruption, Alma. Were you able to finish or?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did anybody have questions on, we missed probably the last maybe 2 minutes of what you said. Would you mind repeating it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I can start at the custodial.
Yeah. Why don't you, yeah, go ahead.
I can go ahead and I'll go ahead and review the whole this slide to make sure that we capture all of the information. So for transportation, we have 21 standby drivers, and they are regular employees that work anywhere from 6 to 4 hours covering routes. We have an additional 12 trip drivers whose jobs are to cover trips, and they are like our on-call substitutes. For our custodial service, we have 5 full-time employees, and they are covering throughout the district absences. In addition, there's 3 who are on-call substitutes. And right now, these 3 are working full-time hours as we are working on adding more to this pool. Nutrition services has 6 substitutes, and our care program, after school program, has 9 long-term substitutes that are filling current vacancies, and we have 5 on-call substitutes.
Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear
Welcome.
me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Keela, and I'm going to talk about some of the retention strategies that we're looking at in human resources. So we want to start off with doing focus groups that are culturally specific and invite our current administrators, our educators, and paraeducators, specifically those who work with our special education students, and do small focus groups. The idea is to have open-ended questions about how their experiences have been in North Clackamas, so that can help inform how we maintain our pool of excellent employees. And also, we're going to look at staff survey data. We will be rolling out an engagement data survey, and we'll look through that, analyze the data to find themes. We will also be analyzing data for our ongoing exit survey that we already have. And from both of those surveys, our goal in human resources is to identify specific strategies we can begin to implement for this school year, but also beyond that time. We also are working diligently on our new pathways recruitment. We have an existing pathway cohort of staff, classified staff that are pursuing licensure, and we want to expand our Grow Your Own pathways. One of those ways we hope to do that is working with students at Sabin Schellenberg who are in the education pathway. We've already had some initial conversations with some of their teachers there so that we can start that in place. Also to look and see what aspiring administrators we may have in the district. So what current teachers and counselors are interested in going to the next level and becoming administrators, who are our aspiring specialists. So not everyone wants to become a teacher. We recognize that, but there may be staff in the district who are classified staff who may want to pursue a counseling license or a school psychology license or a social worker license. Also our aspiring teachers. As I mentioned, we're already working with a cohort of pathways individuals in our district staff who have decided to go pursue licensure. So we want to continue that ongoing effort. One of the recruitment strategies that we would like to roll out in the spring in March is to host our very own educator recruitment fair for classified and licensed staff. We would make sure to invite all of our current North Clackamas student teachers and even those who graduated last year that still haven't gotten jobs perhaps. We would get invitations to all of our college and university partners with professional programs, and also identify from our different feeders a cadre of North Clackamas administrators who'd be willing to do on-the-spot interviews. And we want to be community focused, and so we want to look to collaborate with the Clackamas Chamber, Clackamas Workforce Alliance, the Clackamas ESD Services District, and IRCO, Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization.
Well, thank you. Are you done then with your presentation?
We are, and we're happy to take questions.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'll open the floor for questions or comments from the board. And either use your reactions or I'll look for your hand raised.
Hi, Chair, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Director Perez.
Oh, and that, excuse me, as I just found the raise hand thing here. All right, let me lower that again. Okay. Thank you, Michelle, Alma, Keela, and Will for the presentation. As I'm trying to figure out my, there we go. I've been doing this 2 years. You think, I'd have it down by now, but I'm like all over the place here. Thanks for your patience, and thank you for all you do. And couple questions. One is, so if I'll direct it to Michelle, but anyone, Alma, Will, Keela, jump in. One is, if you all had a genie lamp and you had one wish, and the one wish was to like something that would help retain teachers, what would that one wish be?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know if I could just do one wish, right? Like, I think
Only one.
Jamie can really give you 3 wishes. Let's see. That one's hard. I think we could always use more staff, honestly. So I definitely think some more FTE would be very helpful if I had to pick one at this moment.
Okay. And then the second question is, I got excited personally. The grow your own, what is called? I'm looking at the slide here. Yeah, the retention strategies, the grow your own, also the focus groups, and and also when Keela was talking about the working together with the Clackamas Chamber and various. So one of the things that I think ensures, makes our district successful, in any district, anything successful, is creating that village. So that idea of partnering with as many folks in the community as possible, and businesses, chamber, you mentioned, Keela mentioned a few there on the slide. At the end of the day, the more we can create that village and come together and share our gifts, the more that we benefit our students. So I'm excited about that. And then to grow your own, that was one of the questions I was going to ask. So when Keela, you touched on that. So what is the, what's stopping us? Are we doing the grow your own now, or are we?
Yes.
Can you share a little?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, we're all in the same room together. So the sound on, sound off, we're trying to figure that out. Yes, we are currently doing a grow your own program. In our pathways program, we have about 12 students right now that just getting to meet, just coming on board, new to the district, new to my role. And so I've had individual meetings, just have a couple more next week, and they're at different partner schools. So some are at Oregon State, some are at Portland State University, someone's at Pacific University. And so our Pathways program is really about supporting our classified staff as they navigate through the process. They have proven that they are dedicated and they enjoy working in North Clackamas with our students and families. So this is just the next step for them. And so really it's helping to mitigate the challenges and barriers that exist to obtaining licensure in the state of Oregon. There's a lot of testing that comes with that. There's a lot of fees. Thankfully, we are a recipient of the HB 4030 grant from the Oregon Department of Education. And so we'll be able to provide some support to them for tuition and books. This term, unfortunately, that grant is for a year. Hopefully ODE will renew that grant for us so we can continue that support. And then we'll work on different things with them, such as testing strategies for the tests that they have to take. There is a hurdle that trips some pre-service teachers up, and that's called EdTPA. And it's expensive and there's a long process with it, and some people get stuck there. So we are looking at strategically eliminating barriers for them so that they can experience success as they prepare to become teachers in North Clackamas School District.
One more question, tying into what you just explained, Keela. So when we had 12 students, I'll use the 12 students, you said you were 12 students. Do you have something where, you're let's say like for example, a monthly virtual meeting with these 12 students with a mentor and just touching base with them and getting them all to talk together, and also the mentor there and guiding them, maintaining that relationship and, helping it to thrive. Do you have something like that too, or I'm just curious?
Yes, so my intent coming into this position was to initially meet them one-on-one to see what their needs were, what their stressors are. I sent out a survey to them to collect some general information about areas that they might be interested in learning more about, such as time management, testing strategies, funding their education, moving forward with EdTPA. And so as I wrap up those individual meetings, we will be then progressing into virtual monthly meetings as a cohort to support them. So I guess in theory, I am acting as their mentor, and I don't take that role lightly. I'm a 22-year veteran in the field of education, so it's not new to me, and I've been fortunate enough to serve at every level of education, including higher education. And so it's just going to be, I think, a great journey. I only have two more of our students to meet, and I think it's going to be a great journey, and they're going to be phenomenal educators in our district.
Thank you, Keela, for that response. I many
welcome.
years ago, not that I'm dating myself, but many years ago, let me make that one many, not too many. Many years ago, I was in a job that I was brand new and I really enjoyed it. And what made me enjoy it and want to stay was that they created a monthly in-person meeting, and I got to meet other folks in the same position I was in, and we had a mentor and kind of guided us, but we touched base every month, and that made me feel a part of that community, and I didn't want to leave it. So that's why I was asking. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm looking for hands. Let's see. Oh, Director Benaloga.
Yes, thank you, Chair Bauer. Thank you for the presentation. Lots of great information. I did have a question. I think it was on Will's slide early on. You guys talked about 63 temporary positions. Are those temporary because of funding or just temporary because it's not a long-term position? Can you explain why those are temporary?
Yeah, I can explain that. The temporary, most of the 63, and I'd have to look through to get the exact detail, a majority of those would be individuals that we've hired after an August 15th date. So within our license contract, there's a rule that every position hired after August 15th has to be temporary. And so even though the positions are permanent, when we hire someone after that date, they're a temporary employee, and then we rehire them the following year, and then they're a permanent employee.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. And I just want to say, I just have a comment, and I'm really excited, first of all, to hear that we're going to have rover subs. I know some other districts are doing that as well. I think that's really important, just people that are already planning on being in the district and subbing for the day. So I think that's wonderful. And I also like the idea that and I'd love to hear a little bit more about this, about the FTE that you talked about for sub support. I think that was also, maybe you again, Will, what I'd love to hear, like what kind of support and what kind of questions are they getting? And it would be nice to hear at the end of the year, how successful was that in that retention and possibly even, having people want to work for the district.
Yeah, I can speak to that. We have an individual right now that we have working who is, their sole focus is helping to bring subs into the system. And so right now their focus of the year is on hiring, going through the process, helping them make sure they filled out their application. The other thing, especially with license that we struggle with, is helping them through that process of getting licensure. So making sure they have all that. The additional thing that we worked with, and this was something that we did last year that we may do this year, is TSPC had changed the rules saying that you could have people without a BA who didn't have experience, and they could be subs and sub in your system. And so what we did is we actually had, last year we had 16 individuals that we brought on, and we did a 3-day training with them to prepare them so that way they could be successful in the classroom, which included 2 days of working with some of our teachers on special assignment, some of our TOSAs, working with understanding what is it like to be in a classroom management, and then a full day of shadowing. And they shadowed a sub in the district who was a veteran sub to kind of figure it out, okay, this is what it's like. Because what we know is that we're going to need to, as an organization, be able to bring people from all walks of life in who have this passion about wanting to support students, but yet give them the tools to where they can be successful. The other thing is that subs, they also have a lot of questions about how the district works. They aren't given computers. Sometimes they have district emails, sometimes they're not given district emails depending on the length of their assignment. And so having someone who's a point person where they all can reach out to talk about, what do I do if I can't make it to an assignment? How do I do my professional development units for subs? How does that? And so really having someone where subs feel like, when I'm subbing at North Clackamas, there's someone who cares about me, who when I answer a question is there. And we want to make sure, last year we did a lot of that for license. We want to extend that and have that same level of support for classified, because we know we're struggling a lot to make sure our classified positions are filled. And so then that's another part of that process. I hope that helps answer your question.
That does. Excellent. And I mean, just as Director Perez had spoken about earlier, it's so important to build that sense of community and build that sense of belonging. And I imagine that's really, really difficult for subs that are roving all over the district and don't necessarily have a home or a home community pod to connect to. So I just think that's a great idea. So I really appreciate that. And I'd love to hear more about that as you work through and continue to support our subs and build that sense of community. I just think it's great. So thank you so much for the information.
Any other questions? Director Schradel is on. Any questions? Director McVeigh, Director Way? Not seeing any hands raised. Thank you for the report. Lots of good information. I was just going to mention that some of us were at an OSBA meeting last night, and one and staffing came up as it's a problem all over the state. But one program that a person was talking about, and I don't have the right name, Kathy would know, but they are looking into apprenticeship teachers. So when you think about new teachers coming on, they don't have the money, but pay them to be a teacher, help them with that. It's hard enough your first year, but even to support the whole way. So you kind of do that with Grow Your Own, but more so that they can also live and be teaching in some part of that program. So that's probably a legislative idea to push, but thank you so much. Seeing no other hands, I guess we will go on to our next agenda. You all did great. Thank you though for all the information. The next agenda item is the standard response protocol report. I welcome Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt McCara, and you may have some others with you. I believe maybe David Cruz, Safety, Security and Risk Management, Director Robert Blake, Security and Emergency Management Specialist. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you, especially tonight.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I'm here tonight with two colleagues that you mentioned, both of whom I hold in the highest regard. They both hold many responsibilities for the district, but paramount amongst those is the safety and security of our students and staff. They are also both seen as regional experts in their respective areas, and tonight we'll share a safety and security update focused on our standard response protocol. With that, I'm pleased to introduce, as you did, Robert Blake, Security and Emergency Management Specialist, and David Cruz, Director of Security, Safety and Risk Management. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? I just want to check with you. Hopefully I'm sharing my screen. Can everybody see? You should see a screen and a slide with the logo for the I Love You Guys Foundation. Is that showing up for everybody?
Yes.
Awesome. Always like it when I start off with my technology cooperating with me. So I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of background first. Since I'm a hair older than Robert, I get to do the history, and then Robert gets to actually give you some of the present, what we've been doing, what he's been accomplishing over the last few months, and what kind of his next steps or direction are in the areas of emergency management. So I start off with the slide with sharing the logo for the I Love You Guys Foundation. For those of you that don't know, the I Love You Guys Foundation was created back in 2006 by Ellen and John Michael Keats. It was created by them following a shooting back on September 27th of 2016 that took the life of their daughter, Emily. On that day, before she lost her life, Emily sent two messages, one to her mother and one to her father. The message to her mother, a text message, keep in mind it was back in 2006, so we didn't have group texting yet. But Emily sent a text to her mom saying, I love you guys, okay? And she then sent a message immediately after that to her father, John Michael, saying, I love you guys. And that's where the I Love You Guys Foundation name obviously came from. There we go. So that being said, I have to share, I've been privileged and been able to see John Michael speak on several topics, including the standard response protocol several times. And one of his quotes that I always hear from him is, you don't choose tragedy, but you can choose your response. And that's something that I hope I never have to experience living up to, but watching John Michael and his wife Ellen, rather than focusing on finding somebody to blame for the loss of their daughter, what they did is they immediately set out and set up the I Love You Guys Foundation. And their initial charge was to help other organizations and support other organizations such as first responders in their local community, as well as set up a small scholarship for graduates of Flat Canyon High School where their daughter attended and wants to go. As you can imagine, though, having gone through the trauma that they went through in that tragedy, school safety became a strong interest of John Michael's. And he began researching it, looking at what protocols, what types of things different agencies utilize, whether it's law enforcement or some of the largest school districts in the country. He started reading to see what FEMA recommended schools do. And in his mind, it became very quickly clear to him that there was a significant communication barrier between schools and what first responders knew and said when it came to emergency operations. And with that, John Michael saw an opportunity, and he set out and established the standard response protocol, making it a common vocabulary and a set of actions for emergencies in our schools. He actually developed that and began rolling that product out. And I say product because he's a marketing guy. So you'll see when you see his work, it's very professionally done, very well done, but obviously very deeply research-based and, has, I believe accomplishes very effectively the goal of that common vernacular. He did that, and again, that rolled out in 2009. And fast forward to 2013, that's when North Clackamas School District, with support from our law enforcement partners from our 3 local agencies, began the implementation of the standard response protocol. So that's just a little bit about the background. I'm going to hand it over to Robert now, who's going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing the last few months, where we're going. And some of this will also touch and get into a little more detail about the standard response protocol itself.
Thank you, David. Thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to share this.
Robert, can you speak up just a little bit? I'm trying to turn my volume up, but I'm not finding.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, thank you.
Just wanted to say thanks to you all for the continued support. This work is near and dear to my heart, but as you all know, with everything that we have going on right now, it's taken each and every one of us to play a role in ensuring that our kids and our community stays safe. So I wanted to start with that. So we're fast forwarding to 22-23. There have been some updates that John Michael and the I Love You Guys Foundation had came up with that we'll be talking about this evening. The first one being an addition to one new action called Code, which is really if there's something happening, say in the hallway, a fight, emergency, it's an opportunity for the school to basically pause, keep everybody in the classrooms until we can figure out how to best address the situation. The second one is just a change. It's a change in language, and that's going from lockout to secure. David alluded to that a little bit earlier. We're talking about my relationships with the community and law enforcement partners, and at the building level, there was a lot of confusion between lockout and secure. And the best way to address that was to change lockout to secure. Additionally, what we've done is we have updated all of the standard response protocol material in our buildings. One of the first things that you will see is a poster that's posted in every classroom with the actions there so that it's readily available for our students and staff if ever a situation arises. What I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you all a video that will talk a little bit more in depth about the 5 actions. And hello, and welcome to all of you here in the North Clackamas School District. My name is Robert Blake, and it is my privilege to serve as the district specialist in charge of security and emergency management. In the following video, we're going to be sharing with you specifics regarding our plan for responding to emergency situations. As many of you may already know, that plan is called the Standard Response Protocol, or SRP. What you may not yet know is that effective for the 22-23 school year, we're making some changes to our protocol. Specifically, Amelia and James will introduce you to the actions of hold, where the hallways or other areas of the school need to be kept clear. Additionally, we will share the new action of secure, which is replacing the old term of lockout. Secure is followed by the directive: get inside, lock outside doors, and is the protocol used to safeguard people within the building.
Why is this stuff important? There are things the adults don't like to talk about. If things happen at school, I need to have a plan. And I need to know that the adults have a plan. So I'm going to talk about the standard response protocol. It's all about this simple action. The first action is hold. Stay in your classroom near the hallways. The second action is secure. Get inside, lock outside doors. The third action is lockdown. Locks, lights, out of sight. The fourth action is evacuate. A location will be announced. The fifth action is shelter. The hazard and safety strategy will be announced. So let's get started and learn about hold.
Hold classroom or area, clear the halls. Hold classroom or area, clear the halls.
Something is happening in the halls and the school needs to get it sorted out. So we'll stay in our classroom even if the bell rings.
Try to do classwork, but remind your teacher to lock and close the classroom door.
Won't I be marked tardy for my next class?
Not during a hold.
And if I'm in the cafeteria or the gym?
Depending on what's happening, you might be asked to stay in your area if you aren't in a classroom.
Unlike a lockdown, a hold can be released with a TA announced.
Students, all clear, the hold is released. All clear, the hold is released. I'm James. I'm a school resource officer. Kids, get inside, hustle. Secure. Inside, lock outside doors. Secure. Inside, lock outside doors.
Why are we doing this?
We're doing this because something is happening in the neighborhood near the school, and we have to get you guys inside. Could be crimes out there. Could be riots. Could be a dangerous animal. Could be zombies.
James, zombies aren't real.
You don't know that.
Here's what happens. Get everyone inside. But inside, you just keep everything normal. Even class changes stay on schedule, except between buildings.
Initially, nobody can come in or go out of the building.
Depending on what's happening, the teacher may ask you to text your parents and tell them not to freak out. School is happening just like normal, and if they show up, they probably won't be letting us in.
That's right, nothing to see here.
Sure. Secure is just staying inside.
Sometimes it's a pain, like when school gets out or during lunch, but usually you won't notice much.
What about lockdown?
This is serious. Pay attention because something bad is happening in the school.
Oh, things adults don't want to talk about.
First, I'm going to talk about stuff that we do know, data and research about attacks at school. Then I'm going to talk about what to do depending on where you are. First of all, 70% of these are over within 5 minutes. 90% are over in 10 minutes.
Heavy.
First, let's look at one thing that they have learned. An attacker has hardly ever gotten to a locked classroom door. Hardly ever.
Where'd you see that?
Get on the web and look at the Sandy Hook Commission report. The FBI had some stuff too. Locks, lights, out of sight. Locks, lights, out of sight.
So the teacher will lock and close the door.
Right, Then what happened?
I got this. First, we're going to get out of sight of the corridor window.
What else are you gonna do?
Then we're going to get low on the floor. I'm going to make sure I can't see out of the corridor window. Then I'm going to take a deep breath. This is an important 5 or 10 minutes. I'm even going to silence my phone or turn it on Do Not Disturb.
Turn off your data and Wi-Fi too. This helps the first responders keep their internet access.
But can I text my parents?
Yes, but not at first. Your teacher will probably have you wait about 5 minutes until it's safe. If it's safe, a few of you at a time can text your parents.
Here's what the text. I'm okay. We're in a lockdown. I'll update you every 5 minutes. I'm going to add this. I love you then.
Text your parents. Don't text your friends. Don't post on social media. Here's one thing. A lockdown can be scary and it's probably going to last a long time. I need you to support each other. Listen to your teacher. What else do you keep in mind?
Don't open the door for anyone.
What if they say it's the police? Like this. Police, open the door.
I don't know if it's really the police or someone trying to fool me. So I'm not going to open the door for anybody or even say anything.
Right. Law enforcement or an administrator will unlock and open the door.
Same thing with an announcement on the PA. You're going to stay here until administrator or police come and open the door.
What about the fire alarm?
When we're in a lockdown, we're going to treat a fire alarm a little different. Unless it's really a fire in the room, we're going to initially stay put. Although I might look at other ways to get outside.
If you're in the hallway, cafeteria, or gym, try to get behind a locked door or try to get out of the building. Remember, 5 minutes, so go quick. Think about other locking doors, like staff bathrooms and some offices.
The student bathrooms are probably a last resort. No locking doors, but at least you can get out of sight. This is a good time to talk about evacuation. Sometimes we just need to leave the building. Depending on what's happening, we might be asked to leave our phone. Or we may be asked to bring it. If your phone's in your pocket, keep it there.
If you hear lockdown and aren't in a locked classroom, remember self-evacuation is another option.
That means getting out of the building and going to a safe place.
Once you're there, call your parents, tell them you're okay. The school might also give you an emergency number to contact.
What happens when police release a lockdown?
Police or an administrator will open the door and begin the classroom evacuation. Now, don't be surprised if they're a little loud or they keep shouting, "Show me your hands."
Got it. We're going to be loud and keep my hands empty and visible. Can I bring my stuff?
Probably not, just within your pockets.
They'll probably bring us to a secure assembly area like a cafeteria or a gym before moving us to where our parents can pick us up.
At the assembly area, don't be surprised if an officer is searching for you. They just want to make sure there's nothing dangerous out there.
Got it. We're going to be loud. We're going to search.
If you think about it, you're probably going to be stressed, so it's going to feel a little more intense than it really is. They're probably going to be a little stressed. They probably don't know you, but we all have the same goal in mind to keep you safe.
So what you're saying is put everyone a little break. And you can actually help reduce their stress and our own stress.
Okay, there's one more action.
Let's talk about shelters.
Different schools might do different things, but here are some examples of what might be announced. Tornado, get to the storm shelter. Earthquake, drop, cover, and hold. Hazmat, seal doors with it. Tsunami, get to higher ground.
This is important. I was in 4th grade at Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th, 2012. I got out. My little brother was at Sandy Hook State. He got out, but it was a close call. My older brother and sister were at the middle school. It was a tough day for them too. So I just need to have some options.
And you need to know the adults have a plan too. I was the school resource officer at Arapahoe High School in 2013 when the attack happened then.
I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. When you go home today, talk to your parents. Tell them about what you learned today.
So in conclusion, while already covered in the video, I do want to emphasize a few points that may be different than what you've heard in the past. First, we will always announce in advance that we are about to conduct a lockdown drill so that we all know it's only a drill. Second, while conducting a lockdown drill, we will always practice getting all the students and staff behind a locked door, locks, lights, and out of sight. And as Amelia and James mentioned, when we go into a lockdown, in addition to locks, lights, and out of sight, you want to ensure that you silence your cell phones and keep them in your pocket. Do not message or text anyone until staff member tells you it's okay to do so, and then only to assure your family that you're doing okay. Lastly, our lockdown drills will always practice getting behind a locked door, as James mentioned in the video. If you're in a hallway or other common area during an actual lockdown, your best option may be to self-evacuate out of the building to a safe location nearby. But if you do self-evacuate, make sure to contact your parents once you're in a safe location. In closing, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to learn about how we use the SRP here in the North Clackamas School District. Working together, we will ensure that providing a safe and secure environment continues to be our priority. So what I'd like to add is this particular video is developed for middle and high school students. There has also been a video created for these students. There is an all-staff video that has also been created. We'll be adding that for public school works to ensure that all of our staff have the opportunity to use the video, be able to ask them questions better understand.
Just to add real quick, one of the reasons in the past, since 2013, so for the first 10 or so years that we've done the SRP, we did an initial rollout in 2013 and trained all of our staff, trained our students. But since then, we've had some challenges with a consistent message. And or as we continue to learn more and change and adapt, the message of changes in our protocols, we're not getting out consistently to all of our staff. And so that's the reason why Robert elected to go this route with the videos. That way we can ensure the same video is being seen by every secondary level student, the same age appropriate video is being seen by every elementary level student. So they're all getting the same message. And again, similarly, there's a little more detail that's about a 20-minute video that has been developed and is being prepared to roll out for staff. And again, the idea is that every staff member, rather it's a teacher, IA, a nutrition services person, bus driver, they're all going to be getting that same message, bringing the same consistent language so that we don't have any confusion about what our protocols are. Robert, I think you've got some additional things that we're looking as well. Yeah. So lastly, we're working on a reunification plan. So each building is currently reviewing their reunification plan. I've been going out to the buildings and walking through the buildings with folks to answer any questions they may have, security or emergency response related, helping them to just better understand how to create a team to address the situation if it arises. So lastly, alluded to this a little bit earlier about this being a responsibility of everyone. And I want to continue that. And this quote is one that I hold dear. Violence is not the problem of one neighborhood or group. The response and solutions are not the responsibility of one sector, one agency, professional group or business coming together, owning this problem and the solutions.
Well, thank you, David and Robert. Are you finished with your presentation?
That is it.
Okay, board, any input, discussion, questions? And let's see, I can't see everyone right now, so I guess just speak up if you have a question.
David, can you stop sharing your screen? That'll be easier for people to see.
I'm not at my own desk, so I'm having a little bit of technical challenge with getting it turned off. The good news is I have it up just on.
Orlando does have his hand raised.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Director Perez. Thank you, Seth.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, David. Thank you, Robert, for the presentation. No, I know to start out, the both of you had mentioned or had expressed your gratitude for what we do. And I appreciate that. But I also want to in turn say thank you for what you do. I know every time we walk, on those days we walk through the doors of that administration building. It's always it's reassuring to see both of you at that entrance, greeting all of us, everyone, as we enter. So we thank you for what you do. Also, I want to say my question here. I think you hit on something with that last slide you put up, and I have it up here. I'm going to go back to it for a moment, where it talks about violence, not the problem of one neighborhood or group, and the response and solutions are not the responsibility of one sector of the community or of one agency, professional group, or business. Coming together and owning this problem and the solutions are central. So how would you propose that, what would you propose to get our community to come together, businesses, professional groups, agencies, and to have dialogue on a consistent, regular basis? Unfortunately, how do you propose that we do that so that we can all own this problem together and all come up with a solution or solutions for it?
Say not just for this, but when you have an opportunity to come to the table, come to the table. Start building relationships. When we build relationships, we care about one another, take care of each other. I have made it a point, even in not being fully comfortable with some subject matter or whatever, but if I have the opportunity to go to the table and understand where people are coming from, we begin to make headway. So we have a youth council coming up, we'll be a part of that. David and I are going to be a part of a panel with the ESD. The more that we can get out and just model coming to the table, putting relationships at the forefront, we begin to make that.
Yeah, for sure. I thank you. Yep, we have to put egos and everything aside and foster those relationships, initiate those relationships, and maintain those relationships and build that community and come up with some solutions for sure. Thank you.
Vice Chair Benaloga, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. I too just want to thank you for everything you do. I echo Director Perez. It's always a welcome sight to come to the building and to see you there and to have you greeting us to come into the building. So we do appreciate that. I have thank you for the presentation, by the way. I think it's important that that everybody be able to see this information. So I appreciate that. I did have a couple of questions. You mentioned that there's signage in the classrooms. Okay, and I actually did see it at last night, or no, I'm trying to remember where I was the other night. When we were at Save in Schellenberg, I actually noticed it was in the bathroom. But I do have a question about other areas like the cafeteria and in the libraries. Is the signage everywhere?
Yeah, we were intentional. There's actually two sizes of posters. So we have an 11 by 17 poster that we primarily placed in the classroom, but we also have an 8 by 10 that we have just flooded through the hallways and in the common areas, so that it's readily available for staff and students to see in just about any place they are within the building.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then I have two more questions. One of them is about the speakers in the PA systems, because I understand we've got some dead zones. So what's the plan moving forward? Because I've heard that there are some areas where the staff isn't hearing or can't hear. So what are we doing inside and outside the buildings for those dead zones where people cannot hear the PA system?
So we've been working with technology to address that. There have been some work orders already put in to address some of the buildings, and we'll continue to, as they come up, we'll continue to address
Okay, all right, excellent. And then kind of piggybacking a little bit on the subs, what are we doing? What kind of protocol and training do we have for the myriad of subs that we do have in the district, whether it be bus drivers or custodial staff or substitute teachers or IAs? What are we doing to make sure that they have this information?
One of the things we're doing, Shannon, Robert mentioned, we're rolling out a all-employee training, and we're running that through working with our partners over in Human Resources and using the training mechanism that we use for a lot of our annual trainings that happen every year, that all employees, and part of that's quite honestly so that we can track and ensure that every employee actually went through and watched the video and completed the training. So that's one of the pieces, is that then anybody that is receiving that employee training, that new employee training that we all got when we first walked in the door, that it'll be part of that. And, as we need to, or as we learn more and adjust as we continually improve, we can, if we have to update that on a regular basis, hopefully it's not changing that often, but we can update that as needed to make sure that, again, we're getting a consistent updated message for us.
All right, well, thank you so much. And I just appreciate everything you're doing to keep the building safe, to keep our students and our staff safe. It's so important. And just to make sure that everyone feels comfortable with the protocol and with the process of what they need to do. I think that, practice makes perfection, or eventually, and I just think that's good. We want our staff to feel good in the process. We want them to understand, and I'm hoping that as our students are exposed to this and exposed to the process, that at least there's some sense of safety and bringing some order into what could be a really chaotic situation. So thank you for the thoughtful presentation and for all of the information. I appreciate it.
School board members, any other discussion, comment, questions? Don't see any hands, or go ahead and speak up. Well, thank you. I know it's been kind of a tough night, but I know each of you and every single one of you are here for our kids in our community. I know that. And no matter what, we'll just continue working together. We're all lifelong learners and we're learning from each other. So hang in there. Have a good evening. Good night. I'll now adjourn this meeting at 8:24, the meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. It's adjourned. Thank you.